everybody has a chance to get on here. This is a webinar that I like doing. Now, one of the reasons why I like doing it is a short while ago, I was talking at an event, and there was 750 agents at this convention that somebody put on. And at the convention, vendors had paid to have booths there. You know how they have the booths there, and you walk all around and get all the freebies from the different vendors, and they're hawking their wares. And there was 3 lead vendors there. And those 3 lead vendors, if you did an order with them, were offering a free script, a free sales script. So when I'm doing my portion of it, there's a whole bunch of people in the room. One of the things I said to them, to everybody that was at my session, look around the room, see all the other salespeople that are here, and imagine that you're calling your leads from the vendor that you ordered from right out there. How many in this room are using the script that you got for free right out there? What's funny about that is if you all call the same prospects, what will they hear from each of you? They'll all hear the exact same script, won't they? And that's what I think is funny about it. We have learned, now I've been with a whole bunch of different broker dealers and carriers over the years, and they all give you a script. And if I lay the script side by side, they're usually, not always, but they're usually almost the same. It's like, it makes you wonder if somebody didn't write the script and turn around and sell it to everybody, because they all seem to have the same thing. But what they don't address all the time are the main concerns that people have. In fact, most of the time, they're written from the salesperson's point of view. So today, we're going to talk about the 4 things seniors are concerned about, how to draw them in without getting tangled up in those objections. So I like this. This is a webinar that I really enjoy putting on. I put on a whole bunch of webinars on a bunch of different topics, but I like this one. Another reason I like this one is it takes me back to my early days in the business, back when I was a door-to-door salesman with Combined Insurance Company. Now, the thing about Combined Insurance Company is we learned a standard script and 4 rebuttals. And you had to know those word for word. And if you learned your script word for word and the 4 rebuttals word for word, in most cases, you're going to get an opportunity to make a sale. But I'll tell you more about that script that we learned word for word and the 4 rebuttals as we get into this. But it's one of the reasons why I like it, because having the right script, engaging your prospect, and eliminating and not getting tangled up in objections is probably one of the easier things that we can do as salespeople. It is also one of the things that causes the most headaches. So I like that. I've field trained with hundreds of agents over the years, gone door-to-door with them, ran appointments with them, and I'm always stunned at how they struggle and stutter when they get objections from clients. In fact, one time I was sent out to Sioux Falls, Iowa, to work with a manager that had been with the company for 16 years. His office was kind of floundering. They wanted me to find out if he's savable or if we should put a new manager in there. We go out on 3 different appointments. We don't make a sale. At the end of the day, I'm supposed to address his team the next day at their sales meeting. So, you know, I'm the pro from Dover that's come down here. I'm sitting at the kitchen table. Now, it's his show. He's running it. When I'm coming out there to observe, I don't interfere in the sales. Then the next day, the people run with me, and then we sit down and we talk about what they learned from it. So I'm sitting there watching it, but this is the 4th appointment for that day. 3 appointments, no business. The 4th appointment for that day. And we hadn't got any business yet. And I know I'm going to walk into that sales meeting the next day. And if I was that salesperson, if I was on his team, and quote unquote, the pro from Dover came down from the home office and they went out with my manager and they couldn't get any business, I probably wouldn't listen to anything he had to say. And I knew that because that's the way I am. So we get to the end of it. He keeps going. He's selling health insurance, major med plan. He's going and it's going and it's going. He keeps talking about the product. And the husband is making it clear, you know, yeah, I'll fill this out and sign it, but I'm not giving you a check today. He wanted to see the poly issued and make sure he liked it and everything before he did that. And I was sitting there just fighting, it's driving me out of my mind. So finally, I say to the wife, I think her name, I don't remember. I think her name was Betty. I say to the wife, Betty, when you go grocery shopping, you don't get your basket and walk up and down the aisle, put the food in your basket, go to the register, and when the guy bags your groceries, say to him, I'm going to take the groceries home and try it. If I like it, I'll come back and pay for the groceries, right? She looked at me for like 10 seconds without budging, took a deep breath in, turned around to her husband, and she said, yeah, that's right. Frank, write him a check. Just like that, without pause. Just like that, without pause. Frank stared at her for probably 15 seconds, looked down at the paperwork, and without talking to anybody in particular, he said, so how much is that again? And the manager I was working with said the amount again, and I said, make it out to American Public Insurance Company. And we got the business. And here's what I thought was interesting about this. This guy was probably 67 years old at the time. This had to be like 12 years ago. This guy was probably 67 years old at the time. He'd been in sales for more than 30 years. I couldn't figure out why he was stumped. I didn't know if he just didn't want to handle the objection. It does start at 1 o'clock, Patrick. I'm just talking. We haven't started yet, buddy. I don't know if he just was afraid to handle the objection. I don't know if he didn't hear the objection. I don't have a clue what his story was. But he kept talking about the product. He never really addressed the fact that this guy said, I'm not writing a check today. And it would stun me. You'd think after 30 some odd years in business, he would have his mantra down, and he didn't. So the 4 things that seniors are concerned about and how to draw them in without getting all tangled up in objections has more to do with what you probably already have and you just don't realize it. And we're going to talk about that today. I know a couple people said, are we starting early? No, I'm just visiting with you. This is one of my favorite topics. I love doing this webinar. I wish that when I was in the field as a producing agent, raising a family, I wish I had someone teach me this kind of stuff. Because most of what I learned through trial and error. Now, I learned some great stuff with Combined Insurance Company going door to door, but most of it was trial and error. So I want to help you avoid the trial and error. So today, if you're on the webinar, you signed up for 4 things seniors are concerned about and how to draw them in without getting entangled in objections, you are at the right place. Type in the chat box there and let me know what state you're from, all right? So I'm Lloyd Lofton. I am in Atlanta, Georgia. One thing I want you to do is I want you to focus. Now, I sit down on a lot of other people's webinars. I like to learn from others. So I sit in on other people's webinars. And if you're anything like me, what I do is that I drop my desktop. I drop the webinar down on my desktop, and I look at my emails, or I'm looking over my leads, or I'm typing responses. And I don't want you to do that. What I want you to do is I want you to focus today. You're investing your time, energy, and resources to learn something from this webinar. And if you're just on this webinar because you're waiting for the recording, you're going to get about half of it, half out of this webinar what you could get on it. If you focus, you need to focus. Because some of the things I'm going to talk about today are subtleties. They're called finesse in sales, and you're going to miss them if you don't focus. So I want you to get up and close your office door if you're in an office. I want you to get rid of your email, put your phone on pause, and I want you to focus on everything today. All right? So we got people from New York. My daughter lives in New York. You got some interesting weather up there, eh? Washington, the Seattle area. Sandy, how is your weather up there? I know that some of it's pretty bad. Texas, yeah, I worked in Texas a lot. My sister lives down in Dallas, Texas. It sucks. There you go. Yeah, I know. Listen, I woke up yesterday morning, looked at my phone. 2 of my kids live in Iowa. I looked at my phone. It was 19 below zero in Des Moines, Iowa. 19 below zero. I couldn't believe it. We were 25 here in Atlanta, and people thought it was terrible. So, all right, so focus. I want you to focus, pay attention to what we're doing today. Let me talk about who benefits from this webinar. People who feel like that their appointments are not sticking. And you know if that's you. You know if you feel like that your appointments aren't sticking. People who've had a hard time with consistent sales results. It's not that you don't get sales, and some of you even do this. I do this. I sit on webinars and I listen to respond. I'm looking to rule things out, not rule them in. So I think I'd say I get appointments. I don't worry about getting my appointments. But do you have consistent appointments? People who struggle with objections. Maybe you don't have a problem with objections. If you don't have a problem with objections, my guess is because you're not having enough appointments. You're not making enough presentations. But most salespeople, I struggle with objections for years. Anyone looking to sell more confidently and close more sales, you're the one that I'm targeting this to today. You're looking to sell more confidently and get more sales. This is the webinar for you. So today's agenda, we're going to talk about the 4 things seniors are concerned about. I know there's others, but there's 4 main things seniors are concerned about. I'm going to show you how to read your client's buying behavior. Like, I'm going to do it by talking about you and what you do already, and sell to their unique preferences. Not only are there going to be unique preferences, they will tell you what their preferences are. And then I'm going to tell you the one thing that you already have to triple your closing rate without getting entangled into objections. You already have it. Nobody's ever told you this, but you already have it. So imagine you're with a prospect, and this prospect is turning 65 or 66 or 67 years old, and they have received hundreds of mailings about Medicare. They've had salespeople call them forever to tell them about Medicare, right? They're going to educate them about Medicare. They're going to make sure they get the best plan, save them money, all that stuff. And you ask a few questions. And instead of the prospect's eyes glazing over, instead of them leaning back with their arms folded like this, instead of the husband and wife looking at each other like, yeah, we've heard this before. Imagine you ask 4 or 5 questions, and your prospect says to you, how do I do that? Imagine putting yourself in that position. Imagine you having the ability to target directly the things that matter most to your prospect, and in their answers, they tell you what they already want to buy. Imagine that happens to you at the kitchen table. My promise to you, that's exactly what I'm going to show you today. I know you don't believe me. That's okay. But that's my promise to you. That's exactly what I'm going to show you today. Let me ask you this. Does this sound familiar? They said they need Medicare assistance, but they don't buy from you. They say they understand the risk of higher health care costs, but they don't buy from you. They say they want to talk to their kids, but when you follow up, I mean, they say, oh, yeah, you can call my kids. But when you follow up, they never take your call, or they won't commit. Do those things sound familiar? Have those things happened to you before? Let's talk about some facts and some myths. When you got in the business, whenever it was, whatever product it was, I'm going to use the seniors as an example. When you got in the business, you were trained, you were told, in fact, in a way you were actually promised that if you told your clients that you'll tell them what Medicare is, that they'd buy from you, didn't you? I mean, weren't you? Weren't you told that? If you just tell your clients what Medicare is, they'll buy from you. You were told, and you realize now that's a myth. You were told that you can tell them how to enroll in Medicare. Hey, I'm going to help you out. I'm going to show you how to enroll in Medicare, avoid all the problems of it. If you just told them that, they would buy from you, right? And that also is a myth. You were told that if you tell them they may have higher premiums if they don't act right now or get the plan you're talking to them about, that they're going to have higher premiums. If you told them that, if you illustrated for them, if you showed them in black and white that they're going to have higher premiums, they'd buy from you. And that's a myth, right? Hardly ever happens. In fact, you were trained to tell them how much you can save them. That's your script, right? I can save you. That's the script. Yeah, you know, and you found out that's also a myth. And why is it a myth? You've been down this road before. You're on this webinar today because you know that stuff doesn't work. You're on the webinar today because we don't need more training. What we need is better training. And I'm going to give you that today. Listen, one of the things you're going to say to yourself at the end of this webinar is, Lloyd's right. Big doors swing on small hinges. And I'm going to show you the small hinges in your sales presentation. Now stick around to the end of it. At the end of it, I'm going to give you a link where you can download a free gift to you. It's an annual income goal and weekly activity plan. How timely is that at the beginning of the year here? You can plan out your entire years. If you've been on my webinar, How to Make $100,000 a Year Selling Insurance, you know this is exactly the booklet you need to have to figure out exactly how many appointments you have and how to earn that money. So stick around to the end. I'm going to show you how to get that. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. So, and where I am today. So I started with John Hancock in 1977. Yes, that is me. Young, little, cocky, good-looking guy there. And I started with them in 1977. I became a sales manager for them at the end of 1978, left them right around 1980 and hopped over to Combined Insurance Company. I was a field trainer and a regional with Combined Insurance Company. That means that new salespeople that came out of the 2-week sales school, I took them down the street in different towns for a week at a time, and I went door to door with them, business to business, house to house. We did walking and talking, not smiling and dialing, baby. And I taught them exactly how to get in the door, uncover the problem people wanted to solve, and close the business. That was my whole job. A few years later, I went out and ran my own agency, did that for a long time. I also got recruited, ended up working for a major insurance company, American Public Insurance Company. I ran the Career Distribution Center. We had, 2,000 agents out in the field, did $65 million a year in business. I also ran the call center, did $14 million a year in MedSet business on the phone. And this was, like 12 years ago. This is when it was brand new doing that. I've been interviewed by the Wealth Channel through American College, Scott Drake with Annuity News Now. I speak at industry events all over the country, the American Association of Inside Sales Professionals, the Medicare Supplement Summit, which is going to be in Atlanta this year, and I'm going to be one of the presenters there. I write articles for industry-related magazines almost every month. Every other month I've got an article in some magazine. So Think Advisor magazine, Insurance Selling magazine, a whole bunch of them. You can always find my articles out there. I invite you after the webinar, don't do it now, after the webinar, jump over to LinkedIn, type in Lloyd Lofton, send me an invite. I never do, and I don't know people. I'm more than happy to connect with you. You can follow me. You can see all my posts up there. You can keep track of what's going on, be notified when other things are coming up. Also, I'm happy to make introductions for you if my network would help. I've got a pretty good network. So let's dive in today. Let's talk about that target market. So we're working the senior market. Now, the senior market is a very predictable market. There are things about that market that I'm going to talk to you about today that you don't realize you know, but you already know before you ever call your prospect. I don't care if you're working turning 65, turning 66, turning 67, 70 years, I don't care what it is. There's things you know about this market already. So if you're working with a male turning 65, on average, his wife's going to be about, 62 years old, right? So if he's 65 and is 62, let's look at the predictable behaviors they're going to engage in. So when he turns 65 or 66, he's going to sign up for Social Security. When he signs up for Social Security, he will automatically be enrolled in Medicare. In fact, if he chooses to continue to work for a while, he'll have to opt out of Part B, right? Now, when he signs up for Social Security and is automatically enrolled in Medicare, 80% are going to get some kind of supplement. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a MedSup, MedAdvantage. I don't have a clue. But 80% are going to get some kind of supplement. Now, so those are things that are predictable. We already know this about them, right? So we already know what they're going to do, when they're going to do it, and we already know what product they're going to buy, some kind of supplement. We know they're going to sign up for Social Security, automatically be enrolled in Medicare. 80% are going to get a supplement. Is there anything else that's predictable about this market before we ever make contact with them? I think there is. We know that how much money we know where they're going to get the money to pay for that supplement. They have been paying for health insurance for the last 30 years or longer. Even if they've got group coverage, they're paying for dependent coverage, right? So they're already paying $8, $12, $18, maybe $22,000 a year for health insurance. That means that when he is automatically enrolled in Medicare, he's going to reposition $2,000 out of the money they're already spending for health insurance. He's going to reposition that $2,000 to pay for a supplement. Do we know how much the supplement costs? Absolutely, because they're filed in every state, right? Whether it's MedAdvantage or MedSup, they're filed in every state. So let's look at what we know. We know he's going to sign up for Social Security when he hits retirement age. We know he's going to enroll in Medicare. Even if he continues to work, he'll opt out of Part B. We know that 80% are going to get a supplement. We know how much that supplement costs because they're filed in every state. And we know where he's going to get the money to pay for it, right? Is there anything else we know? Because it sounds like we already know a lot about him. We never even talked to him. Well, there is. There's something else we know. We know that when he repositions that $2,000 out of the money they're spending for medical insurance anyway, that his wife is going to come off their plan and she's going to need her own standalone health plan. Whether it's a simplified issue, whatever it is, with an accidental rider and a critical illness, whatever, she's going to need her own plan. Do we know how much that product costs? Of course, it's filed in every state. Do we know where she's going to get the money to pay for it? Absolutely. From the same pool of money that he got to pay for a supplement. She's just going to take the money that's left and she's going to get her own plan. Is there anything else we know? Absolutely. We know that in a couple of years down the road, she's going to age into Medicare. And when she ages into Medicare, she's going to get some kind of supplement. MedSup, MedAdvantage. I don't have a clue which one it is. But I know she will get one. And I know what it costs because it's filed in every state. And I know where she'll get the money to pay for it. Because she's already spending the money with me on her health insurance, right? Or somebody. Hopefully she's doing it with you so you keep other agents out of the home. But think about that. So look at all the stuff we already know about our prospect and we've never spoken a word to them. So how can we use this? Well, here's my question for you. Are you using the same script, the same presentation, and the same close as every other product hawking, price hawking salesperson that approaches them? Think what I said when I started off. I talked recently in an event, and there were a bunch of vendors there at the conference. They paid for a booth. They're giving away free scripts if you buy leads from them. And all the agents there are scrambling for these scripts. That means that all those prospects they call are going to hear the exact same script, the same presentation, and the same close. If they do that, if they hear the same script from you as they hear from every other salesperson, who are you to that prospect? Aren't you just another salesperson? Well, let's talk about how we can break the traditional approach. The traditional approach, look at every script, any script I've ever seen has these elements in it. I can explain Medicare to you. I can save you money on your premium. I want to give you the best rate. And it never happens, right? We either don't get the appointment or they don't end up buying from us. Because everybody else is using that script. What makes you different? Why would they see you any different than every other salesperson they're talking to? And is that who you want to be in their mind? Just another salesperson. So what should the conversation be about? Okay, Lloyd, all this makes sense. You're right, I've fallen into this trap. None of this stuff has worked for me. So what should the conversation be about? I think that's a great question. I'm glad you asked. Talk to them about the things they use the most in the order they use those things. And I'll give you an example here in a couple minutes. Remember, people like two things. They like to hear their name, and they like to have their opinion asked. They like those two things. So let's talk about the 4 things that seniors are concerned about. So when we started, as I promised you, I'm going to talk to you, show you how to talk about the 4 things seniors are concerned about. Seniors are concerned about managing the cost of doctor's expenses, hospital expenses, prescription drugs, and either recovering at home after a procedure or not leaving a financial burden to your family. I know some people say, Lord, that's 5. Well, we're only going to address 4 of them. On the 4th one, recovering home after a procedure or not leaving a financial burden with the family, the client's going to tell me which one they want me to address. And I'll show you how they're going to do that. You see, what I'm talking to you about today, what I'm encouraging you to learn today, what I'm encouraging you to embrace, what I'm coaching you to embrace is learn not to sell them something, but to solve them something. Talk to them about the things they use the most in order they use those things and show them how to solve a problem. So how can you be different? Well, I said I would give you an example. So everybody that has bought a car at a car dealer, right? So you pull into the car dealer lot, you park your car salesman comes over to you, says, can I help you? And you say, I'm just Looking, right? Everybody says that. I'm just looking. Now, here's the funny thing about it. A car dealership is not a destination spot for most people. We're not driving down the store going to Publix or Kroger and we think, hey, you know, what the heck? Let's go look at a car. We usually go to a car dealer because we have some level of interest in a car. So, did you lie to that car salesman? Well, kind of a white lie, right? It's not that you're not interested in looking at a car. You just don't want to be sold, right? You don't want to be sold. So we say, I'm just looking so that they won't pressure us, so we won't feel pressured. Now, what happens? You walk around the lot, you find a car you have an interest in, and you take the car for a test drive, right? Now, here's my question. We all take the car for a test drive, but here's my question for you. You get behind the wheel, maybe the salesperson's in the car next to you over here, you get behind the wheel, and before you take that car for a test drive, do you adjust anything? Type in the chat box and tell me what you adjust. So you're going to take this car for a drive, you're going to test it out, you're going to check to see if you like it. But you're going to adjust a few things in the car. Type in the chat box and tell me, what do you adjust? Do you adjust the steering wheel? Do you adjust the seat? Air conditioning? What do you adjust? Yeah, everybody's adjusting something differently. Well, yeah, everybody's adjusting something differently. Mirror, seat, steering wheel, mirror, a lot of mirrors on here. Everybody wants to make sure that mirror is fixed. The steering wheel. See, what about the air conditioner, the radio? Let me ask you this. Why are you adjusting those things? You're adjusting those things to make the car fit you, right? Isn't that why you're adjusting them? Personalize it. Jan's absolutely correct. To personalize it. So Jan, Joe, Mary, Michael, let me ask you this question. How can you help your prospect adjust your product or service to personalize and fit them? That's the key. That's what makes you different than every other salesperson they talk to. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. So here's the other thing. So you get that car seat adjusted, you take it out for a test drive, you come back to the dealer. Now, when you come back to the dealer, you get out of the car. If you have an interest in that car, what do? You go inside, right? This is another question I'm going to ask you, so get ready to type in your chat box. So you like the car, you have an interest in it, you want to talk about the car, you go into the dealer, you sit down at the desk. Why are you going into the dealer's office and sitting down with them? Just type in the box and tell me, why are you going in there to sit down and talk to them? You've adjusted the car, you've taken the car for the test drive, to negotiate, to price, to discount the price, financing, to find out what it will cost me. Here's my question for everybody. Patrick, Mary, Elliot, let me ask you this question. Do you go into the car dealer's office and sit down to discuss which car you're buying? Or are you going in there to discuss how much you're paying for that car? You see, all of your answers here tells me that you're going in there to discuss how much you're paying for that car. Mary says that car. And that's right. And you know why, Mary, you're discussing how much you're paying for that car? Because you've already taken emotional ownership over that car. That's where you need to get your prospects. When you learn to have the kind of conversation with your prospects, when you learn to help your prospect adjust your product and service so that it fits them and they take emotional ownership over it, then they're going to want to know from you, how do I get that car? You're not just in the car dealer's office to talk about that price. You're in there to talk about how you get that car, right? Well, let's talk about how you do that. I said there's four things that seniors are concerned about. So for the 76 million baby boomers aging into the market, they're concerned about managing the cost of doctors, hospitals, prescriptions, recovering home after procedure, or not leaving a financial burden for their family. So how do you read your client's behavior? See, if I was a car salesman and you adjusted the air conditioner, I might ask you, do you drive a lot during hot weather? Do you like cold air or do you like hot air? If it's a dual air conditioner, I might ask that kind of question. If they adjust the radio, hey, do you like blues music? Do you have a favorite FM station? I'm going to find out the things they like, and then I'm going to talk about those things the most. So how do you read your client's behavior and then sell to their unique preferences? You do it by questions, right? In fact, part of what I've done with you today so far is questions. So let's look at some questions. Everybody knows about closed-end questions and open-end questions. You know, we all learn that as rookie salesperson. We get in any sales position. Closed-end questions and open-ended ones. So closed-end question is a question that you can only answer yes or no. Do you know who your target customer is? Yes or no. Is your warehouse in the area? Yes or no. Where's your warehouse located? See how that open-ended question gives me more information? It makes the prospect engage more. But we all know that. We all know about open and closed-end questions. Everybody on the phone is a professional, and you've asked those kind of questions. So let me ask you this. When you do open-ended questions, do you use questions like tell me about, why do you think, how did you, what happens when, what else can you do with, what would happen if, how might you use, I wonder if. Do you use those kind of open-ended questions? What about tie-down questions? I am a huge fan of tie-down questions. In fact, the questions I'm going to show you today are primarily centered around tie-down questions. Now, if you're not familiar with tie-down questions, or it's been a while, let me give you a refresher course. Tie-down questions are generally used at the end of a sentence. And you already usually know the answer to it. It's like being a lawyer. You don't ask a question, you already know the answer to it. I'm going to show you exactly how I do that today. They're most commonly used to get agreements on small points. So pay attention to that when I go through my questions and see how I get agreements on small points. Ask when you know the answer to be yes. You'll see me do that a lot. Missed one. And then give acknowledgement from the prospect that they understand and agree with the solution discussed. You're going to see me do that several times in this example. So let's just do a primer on tie-down questions. You use a tie-down exercise to invert sentences for practice. You want to recast each sentence as you go through them and say them aloud in the inverted form. So you're at your desk or home or couch or office or whatever you're doing right now, practice these. Many progressive companies are using computers today, aren't they? So the tie-down is aren't they. Now invert that. If I invert that, I'm going to get aren't a lot of companies using computers today? See how that works? It would be great to have an advanced computer, wouldn't it? So the tie-down is wouldn't it? An inverted tie-down is to say, wouldn't it be great to have an advanced computer? I'm going to get an acknowledgement and agreement either way, but they both serve a different purpose, and I'll show you that in just a minute. Sometimes changing an extra word or two helps smooth out the sentence. It also makes it easier to deliver your message. So what engages people more? Questions or scripts? Type in the chat box and let me know what you think engages people more. Also, are you getting some value from the webinar so far? Let me know if this is if you're getting some value from it or if I need to be hitting on something else. Questions. Questions, yes. All right, great. Great. Just want to make sure we're staying on the same page here. So questions or scripts, what engages people more? What do you think? I agree with most everybody on there that questions do, but let's look at scripts because we learn scripts, right? So here's the thing about scripts. Scripts are stiff. I've never had a salesperson that I taught a script to that didn't read it word for word. And the problem in reading it word for word means that they typically vary from the vocal inflections and the flexibility they need to have a conversation. So they become inflexible. They become people who use scripts are stiff, unflexible. A lot of people feel awkward using a script. They get all salesy, and they're unoriginal. To be honest with you, scripts are just unoriginal. Questions are spontaneous. So if I ask a question, then the response from the prospect is spontaneous. It personalizes it. I can ask questions and personalize it to you. I've done that on this call, on the webinar today. Probing questions. I can probe based on a response you give me. I can probe and dive down deeper. They're revealing. If I ask the right questions, you're going to reveal things that tell me kind of where you're at in this process. And they're adaptable. I'm going to show you how I will use questions to adapt to the answers that I get from the prospect. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to show you my questions. You ready? Everybody ready for the questions? And I know some of you think you're going to write it down, but let me just give you a heads up here. You can write real fast as we go through these. I'm going to show you a way to get all of this at the end of it. But here's the thing. You have to understand the psychology of asking these questions for these questions to work. questions in and of themselves don't work. We have to work the question. So it's not just having the right question, it's asking the question in a way that engages the prospect. So let's just set the stage. So I'm sitting at a kitchen table, got a husband and wife, Betty and Frank, we'll call them Betty and Frank, and I haven't done any kind of presentation. I haven't done a Med-Sup, Med-Advantage, but I'm there on a Med-Sup lead, okay? So that's what I'm there for, or on a Med-Advantage, whatever it is. I'm there on some kind of lead. So I say, Betty, let me ask you a question. As you age, do you think you get more healthy or less healthy? Now I'm going to give you a clue here. The words that you see that are bolded, those are the words that you emphasize and use voice inflection on. So Betty, let me ask you a question. As you age, do you think you get more healthy or less healthy? Now, do you notice my voice inflection? More healthy, I go up on my voice inflection. Less healthy, I come down on my voice inflection. Because what I'm doing is creating that emotion. The reason you adjusted the things in that car is to make it fit you, right? So my goal is to get you emotionally involved in this process. So Betty, as you age, you think you get more healthy or less healthy? What do you think most people say? Well, less healthy, right? All right. Now, as you get less healthy, do you believe that your medical expenses will become more expensive or less expensive? See how I did the same thing? I went up on more expensive, less expensive. I go down. And it's kind of like being a lawyer. I don't ask a question I don't already know the answer to, because I know they're going to say less expensive. And then I ask, is that what you want to have happen? See how I'm selling the problem? They've just told me, let's just follow this. They've just told me that as they age, you're going to get less healthy. They just told me as they get less healthy, their medical expenses are going to become more expensive. Now I want them to own the emotion of that future problem that they've already identified. Betty, is that what you want to have happen? And Betty's going to say, well, no, of course not. They're both going to say, no, of course not. Because who wants more health expenses? Then I come back with, well, let me ask you this, Betty, Frank. What plans do you have to pay these growing medical expenses as you age? And now I'm going to find out, do I have competition in the house? They got a bid from another agent. Are they looking at something else? Are they more serious than curious about it today? Because I'm not making a full product presentation without knowing I've got a fully qualified prospect. So what I'm doing is I'm putting them down my funnel. This is my funnel right now. So what plans do you have to pay these growing medical expenses as you age? By the way, we're going to go over 1 o'clock, just so you know. And they're going to tell me, I don't have a plan. I'll probably get Medicare. I'm getting some prices from other agents. They're going to tell me whatever they're going to tell me. So, well, that makes sense. I can understand that. Let me ask you this question. Why do you have health insurance? Do you have health insurance for your best health year or for your worst health year? See, now, not only did I talk about what their perception is of aging and why they have health insurance, now, I mean, as they age and what happens as they age, medical expenses become more expensive. Now I'm going to find out what their perception is of health insurance and how they use health insurance. So watch how I do this. Betty, Frank, let me ask you this. Why do you have health insurance? Do you have health insurance for your best health year or your worst health year? And they're going to say, well, my worst health year. Let me ask you this. In your worst health year, are you expecting to pay out of your pocket for medical care? Or do you see an insurance company paying these growing medical expenses at some point? Now notice the voice inflection and the bolded words there. And what do you think they're going to say? It's like being a lawyer. I don't ask a question I don't know the answer to. 80% of my prospects are going to say, well, I want the insurance company to pay for it, right? Who wouldn't? Of course they're going to say that. You see, I'm not selling them something. I'm solving them something. I'm going to solve the problem to them. If I'm selling anything, I'm selling the problem they already have. In fact, they're selling themselves on the problem they already have, aren't they? And then I'm going to solve that problem for them. So what I do is I paint an image of their experience with their problems. Now, I don't know what the solution of it is. Maybe it's a Medicare supplement. Maybe it's a Medicare Advantage. But I wonder if there's a way we could find out. Can we shuffle this funnel around a little bit so we get a little bit more information and have a little better idea of which solution might work for them now that we know what problems that they're having? Well, let's see. Betty, let me ask you this question. How do you prefer to access healthcare? Do you need to manage your monthly budget? You don't get sick very often. You don't mind seeing a doctor in a network. you're willing to pay some out of your pocket each time you see a doctor, have a procedure, or hospitalize, to have your premium a little bit lower? Or do you want to be able to see any doctor, hospital, or clinic anywhere in the country who accepts Medicare assignment? Most of them do. Show your benefit card, receive your medical care, leave, and never see a bill. Which way do you prefer to access health care? You see, if they answer the first one, that's probably a Med Advantage. That might be a K or an L or an M plan. It might be a different kind of plan, but it won't be a Plan F. It might not even be a Plan G. But it kind of gives me a little bit better idea, doesn't it? So their answers might tell me, okay, this is probably going to be a Med Sup Plan F. So then I say to them, which way do you prefer to access health care? And then they're going to tell me their answer. And their answer will give me a pretty good idea of how they use healthcare. Remember, what we need to do is we need to help them. Now that we've got them taking emotional ownership over this, I've got to let them adjust the air conditioning, the radio, the seat, the tilt steering, the cruise control. I've got to let them adjust the product to fit them, don't I? I'm going to show you exactly how we're going to do it. Well, Frank, let me ask you this question. When you think about managing your healthcare expenses, are you more concerned about managing the cost of doctors, hospitals, prescriptions, recovering at home after a procedure, which, by the way, is final expense, or not leaving a financial burden to your family, which, by the way, is short-term care or long-term care? That's the 4 things seniors are concerned about. So I'm asking, when you think about managing your healthcare expenses, are you more concerned about managing the cost of doctors, hospitals, prescriptions, recovering at home after a procedure, or not leaving a financial burden to your family? So what they're going to do is they're going to tell me their dominant buying motive. I'm going to use tie-down questions. Remember, they're generally used at the end of a sentence. You already know the answer. So here's the way I do it. So they're going to say doctors, right? So remember where I'm at. So they're going to say, I want to make sure all my doctor bills are covered. And I say, so on any new plan you design today, you want to make sure all your doctor bills are covered. Is that what you're saying, Betty? You see how I do a tie-down question? And it's a trial close. Because once they say, yes, that's what I want, I never have to visit this again. I already know that the plan they designed today has to have all their doctor bills covered. And then when that happens, what do? I go right back to the original question, and I leave out this benefit, in other words, doctor's benefits, because I've already closed on that minor point. So I say, now, when you think about managing the rest of your healthcare expenses, are you more concerned about managing the cost of hospitals, prescriptions, recovering home after a procedure, and not leaving a financial burden to your family? See how that works? I mentioned the things that we're most concerned about that are left. So what they're doing is they're designing their solution. They're taking emotional ownership over it, and they're adjusting the product or service to fit them. Notice the bold words, now, that refocuses them. When you think about, people are thinking about my next question, they're not thinking about objecting. The rest, we take them off to the doctors. We've already got the doctors covered. The rest of your health care, now they're focused on the rest of it. Are you more concerned? They get focused back on the next thing that matters most to them, the dominant buying motive, and then I move on with it. So when they answer, then you repeat back the same thing again. So on any new plan you design today, then you also, notice the word also, then you also want to make sure all your prescriptions are covered. Is that correct? See how they're designing their own plan? And they're adjusting the product or service to fit them. After you cover the 4 things seniors are concerned about, you then close on a minor point. And this is how I close. This is the way I coach people to close. John, let me tell you, I don't use the word show. Let me tell you how this works then. And I use the word then. Because when I do that, when I lower my voice, lower my talk down, John, let me tell you how this works then. They actually lean into you. They literally lean into you because they have now taken emotional ownership over the solution, and they want to see what it looks like. So what's the number one thing that you already have to triple your closing rate without getting tangled up in objections? What's the number one thing? You tell them to sell them. Quit selling the close. Tell them the solution. And I'm going to show you the psychology behind that in just a second. See, I'm selling the problem they have, not the product. They're buying the product. So how do you do that? What you say, I've got one thing already, and that's to sell them the problem, not the product. How do you do that? Well, you have this done to you all the time. Say you don't feel well and you go to the doctor. You go to Dr. A and you describe your symptoms. You say, I've got a headache, a runny nose, my ear hurts, my body aches. And the doctor says, okay, Sally, I know what's the matter with you. You can have this prescription, you have this prescription, you can have this prescription. You can have this prescription, you can have this prescription, you can have this prescription. Which prescription do you want? You go to Dr. B and you describe your symptoms. Got a headache, my nose is running, my ear aches, my body kind of aches. And the doctor says, okay, I know what's wrong with you. Frank writes a prescription out, hands it to you, says, fill this, take it twice a day, come back and see me in 10 days. In the chat box, type which doctor you have more confidence in, Dr. A or Dr. B. Just take a second and type in there and let me know which doctor you have the most confidence in. I'm guessing you guys are already proven how smart you are. I'm guessing you're all going to say, yeah, B. Everybody likes Dr. B. Why do you like Dr. B? Because he diagnosed the problem and prescribed the solution. He didn't say, well, do you want me to treat you today? I could give you some medicine to fix that if you wanted to. What medicine do you want? Here's some medicine. He didn't do that, right? You wouldn't have any respect for that doctor. He diagnosed the problem and prescribed the solution. Steve, you're right on. You got it right on. And that's what you need to do. You've already got that. That's exactly what you need to do. Telling to sell. Here's how I'm doing it. Remember what I say to them. John, let me tell you how this works then. And then I use the word then, and they lean into me. Here's how it works. With the plan you designed today, Frank and Betty, forgot their names, Frank and Betty, you'll be able to go to any doctor, hospital, or clinic anywhere in the country that accepts Medicare assignment, which most do. Show your benefit card, receive your medical care, leave, and never see a bill. Is that what you're expecting to happen? Yeah, set that expectation. And believe it or not, this is the close. When they say yes, it's no different than you going in and sitting at that car dealer's desk. You've already taken emotional ownership over that car. You're not talking about what car to buy. You're just discussing how much to pay for it. That's all we have left is discuss how much they're going to pay for it. That's it. They've already bought the solution. Here's how the plan you design will work. Who designed the plan? They did, right? No matter what the product is, they designed it. I asked them the question, when you think about managing healthcare expenses, you're more concerned about managing the cost of doctor, hospital prescriptions, recovering home after a procedure, not leaving financial burden to your family. They picked it. They designed which one they wanted. It could have ended up being a MedVantage plan. It could end up being nothing. I don't know. But they designed it. So here's how the plan you design will work, Frank. And then here's just an example of a design solution. So if I show them Part A deductible, you don't pay anything out of your pocket. You have to go to a hospital, you got no daily room charges. You have outpatient surgery, zippo, not a dime out of your pocket. Blood, you got to have blood while you're in the hospital, zero, nothing out of your pocket. You go to the doctor for a checkup, zero out of your pocket. In fact, if you have labs or x-rays, zippo, you're going to pay nothing. That's what you expected, right, Frank? Right, Betty? You see, here's how Medicare works. Then I show them how Medicare works. I've already told them what the solution is, and this solution is solving this problem they already know about. Our peer group is within 5 years of our ages. So if the person's 65, they already know somebody's 70 years old on Medicare. This isn't new to them. Let's say this is how Part A works. How Part A deductible works, co-pays, skilled nursing, how Part B works. That's all this. This is how it works. Now, here's my question for you. Have I sounded like any other salesperson you think the prospect has met with? Or do they actually see me as an ally, somebody that's interested in what matters the most to them? In fact, let me ask you this question. Did I talk to them about the things they use the most in the order they use those things? That's exactly what I did. Here's the thing about it. How do I do that, Lloyd? Well, they're concerned about managing the cost of doctors, hospitals, prescriptions, recovering home after procedure, not leaving a financial burden to the family. And you're the professional. So let's recap it. The 4 things seniors are concerned about. I told you we talk about that. We did that, right? Type in the box and let me know. I just want to make sure I covered this for you. Everybody type in the box if I covered the 4 things seniors are concerned about. How to read your clients' buying behaviors and sell to their unique preferences. Did I cover that? Did I tell you the one thing that you already have to triple your closing rate without getting entangled in an objection? I just want to make sure you feel like I did exactly what I told you I would do. So here's the thing. Now you have the ability to set yourself apart from regular salesperson. You now can recognize predictable buying behaviors that others don't see. You can avoid the headache of a senior Medicare script everybody else is using, and you shouldn't be. You can utilize the powerful tie-down questions where your clients tell you what they want to buy. And you can incorporate dynamic trial close statements to eliminate the most common objections. We already know what they are. We build them into our sales presentation. It reduces the chances of them coming up. You're going to get your free download, so you'll get an email where you can get your free download. Got a question for you. If all this makes sense to you today, I'd love to find a way to continue working together, and I'd like to present that option to you. And I just want to get everyone's permission. Can I present an option to you to show you how we can keep working together? If I can, type in the box yes and let me know that that's okay with you. I just want to make sure that you feel like you got some value out of this and that I can show you another way for us to keep working together. All right. Yes, yes, yes. Great. All right. Appreciate it, Jerry. Thanks a lot, my man. Steve. Huston, oh, great. Daryl, you guys did great. All right. I've got a course called the Advanced Senior Sales Training. It's on powerbehind-the-sales.com. This course is going to teach you how to sell the problems people have and tell them the solution, the one thing that you already have that you don't use. Mike Zena is a client of mine. He's a fee-based only certified financial planner. He said Lloyd knows his business. He's a consummate professional, diligent in his practice, and has a flair for making it fun. I've learned how to better attract a tribe, engage them, and keep them coming back for more. If you want more engagement from your prospects, talk to Lloyd. So the Advanced Senior Sales Training course has a 7-step sales presentation. Showed you a little bit of it today, the 7-step sales presentation. There's 11 lessons in this. And let me tell you something about this. This is something you need to work through. This is something where you need to look at each lesson, assimilate it to your selling style. You know, I'm only going to sell the way I sell. I can't sell the way other people sell. I hate sales managers who says, you have to do it this way. Well, I'm straight commission. I don't have to do it that way. You're a moron. So the 7-step sales presentation teaches you the concepts behind the 7 steps so that you can fashion your presentation to fit your sales personality, but identify the dominant buying motives that prospects have anyway. So you get the no excuses, you get my introduction, you get selling off the walls, handling objections, qualifications, handling objections, the commitment, the presentation, the pre-close, the close, and getting referrals. You get all that in the 7-step sales presentation. The 7-step sales presentation has 11 courses in it, but you also get the scripts that work course. The 23 lessons are in that script that works, including the script we went through today. So people always ask me that question. And that's final expense scripts, direct mails, how to get appointments using your voice, basic phone approaches, handling customers' insurance objections, Medicare supplement sales script, 4-thing script, we just went through that today. The powerful versus passive words to secure appointments. I even took scripts from other industries because I train in a lot of different industries. Merchant appointment scripts. I took that and show you how I train the psychology. The psychology I'm training works in any industry. Credit card processing, I've done a ton of that work. It works in any industry. This psychology has the potential of changing your business. But remember, it's just a lesson. You have to practice it. You have to fail at it in order to learn the lessons so that you can succeed at it. And when you get signed up in here, this is what it looks like when you get inside there. You get the library. Your courses will be in there. There is all kind of them. There's video courses in there, recorded PowerPoints in there. There's downloads for you in there. It's all in there for you. When you do this, when you get this course, you're going to get rid of being an unpaid consultant, being a professional visitor. That's somebody that keeps going back because you believe it when they tell you, I'll buy from you next time. Just come next week. Just come next week. You get rid of call reluctance, whether you're using the phone to schedule appointments or sitting down with the presentation. You'll get rid of objections over price. That will hardly ever come up again. Clients will say they don't know anyone to refer you to. I'm going to show you exactly the exact words to use to get more names to get in front of people. And you'll get rid of struggling with the needs assessment. struggling with prospects to take action, and struggling with what to say to close business. It's not a pie in the sky. This will absolutely give you the tools to use, but you have to use them. And everybody that does this course, I tell the same thing to you: you can nail this. You can have the consistent income you deserve, have a steady work stream without overworking. You can hit your goals every month. You can have certainty of your workload, access to the coaching that you need to get past the barriers that are stopping you from that seven-figure income. So how do I price it? Obviously, there's a price for this, but how do I price it? You know, I'm a salesman. I'm just a door-to-door sales guy. Been around for a long, long time. And I want to make sure this is available to everybody. I just want a fair price so I can pay my nut, pay my expenses. So I want to make sure that you can get this. So one of the ways I said, well, let me look at what other people pay to come to my training. So I did the Lead Generation Summit a while back. They charged $1,297. They had about 15 experts in the Lead Generation Summit that people had access to. If you just signed up for my webinar with the Lead Generation Summit, they charged $197. So I know people pay $197 to come to a 1-hour webinar with me, which you guys have been on today for free, for nothing. So Glenn did that. He said, thanks for the quick reply, because I reply to all my emails. He replied with, he sent me an email with a question. I answered the question. Thanks for the quick reply. Very impressed with your session in the Lead Summit. I just ordered your book, Leads to Results. Thanks, Glenn. So I know it's $197. I do a lot of training for other organizations like SkillPath, Lorman Education Centers. Now with Lorman, I did the Effective Habit. I'm doing Effective Habits of Successful Salespeople. Let's look at what they charge. So if you went to Lorman, signed up for my Effective Habits of Successful Salespeople, you're going to pay $105 for the 1-hour webinar. If you want the audio and reference menu, you're going to pay $140. So 197, 100 bucks. So just round it out, say 100 bucks. So one course with one class with me is worth 100 bucks. At least that's what people are paying for it. So 11 lessons at $99. I think that's fair. It's $1,089. Scripts at Work course has 23 script lessons in it. 99 bucks each is $2,277. The value of $3,366. Let me ask you a question. If you could get this kind of help to stabilize your business, build a reliable income, and increase your sales consistently for the rest of your career, would that investment be worth your time and money? Just let me know if that would be worth it to you. Now, you do have to use this, but here's the thing about it. With a course like this, every time you have a question or a problem, you have somebody that you can reach out to. So just type in the box and let me know. Yes or no, is that something that you think is worth it to you? Yes, yes, yes. All right, yeah. Thank you very much. Let me show you something. Joyce said, Lloyd and I work together for American Enterprise, and I cannot sing his praises loud enough. When I originally met Lloyd, I was green in the art of selling products, and through his help and insight, I became a sales manager in just over a year. Lloyd's direct approach to training and sales is excellent, and I feel he is and will be successful at all that he does. And I appreciate Joyce. So the Advanced Senior course, today, I'm going to give it to you. It's only $494. You get the 7-step sales presentation, 11 lessons worth $1,089. Scripts at Work course, $2,277. Total value is $3,366. Today, you can get it for just $494. But hang on, it gets better. I have a special bonus for those of you that decide to jump in today. For those of you who showed leadership and ownership over your business, decide to jump in here today, get started today to make that change in your business. I'm going to make sure that you also get the Fast Track Coaching Program. That is a bonus 1-minute videos. I've got 50 different videos out there that covers everything that you're going to run into in running your business, whether you're an independent agent working under an FMO, whether you're looking to start your own organization. You're going to find everything in here: systematic approach to training, rejection versus objection. Everything's in here for you. So you're going to get that as part of it. The whole thing's just $494. 7-step sales presentation gives you 11 lessons worth $1,089. Script course is worth $2,277 because you get 23 of my scripts and the lessons on them. The bonus Fast Track Coaching, $500. Each one's $10. I do that all day long online. $3,866. Listen, James said, no matter how seasoned we are, always investing in ourselves and advancing. You are a terrific partner and resource, and this is a no-brainer. Thank you for all that you do, Lloyd. Listen, you've got two choices. You can do nothing and not take this leap of faith, which is 100% risk-free. The second option, you can pony up this small investment today compared to all the value you get in return and just give it a shot. But I've got another bonus for you. You also get my live webinar classes and my Q&A sessions. I do these every quarter. So not only do you get everything I talked about today, you get direct access to me. You can email me directly. You get to sit in on my quarterly webinars, and you get Q&A sessions with me. So what are we talking about? $494 today, and you get the 7-step sales presentation worth $1,089 with 11 lessons. The Scripts That Work course, $2,277 with 23 scripts. You get my fast track coaching worth $500, and you get my bonus quarterly live webinar, $3,866. But hang on a second. I got one more surprise for you. Because you came through this webinar today and spent your time with it and who you came here from, I've got one more gift for you. If you take advantage of this today, you're going to get 50% off. The code is just 50 off. That means you're only going to pay $247 today. So that's it. You got 24 hours today. Otherwise, it's going to be $494. If you contact me a week from now, you're going to pay $494 like everybody else does. But if you do it today, you're going to get it for 50% off, $247. 7-step sales presentation course, Scripts That Work course, bonus fast track coaching, bonus quarterly live webinar class. Don't forget the code is 50 off. All you do is go to powerbehindthesales.com/senior sales. I think Julia's going to pop it in the chat box right now. The link, Julia, please. Julia's my marketing manager. Skipper said, working with Lloyd was extremely instrumental in my development in the health and in life insurance business. If you get even a moment to share time with him, you'll come away with so many essential nuggets within the industry. And I really appreciate Skipper. He's down in North Carolina. So you get the 7-step sales presentation course, 11 lessons worth $1,089. Scripts That Work course, 23 scripts, and the lessons were $2,277. The bonus fast track coaching, that's worth $500. The bonus quarterly live webinars, everything's worth $3,386. You get everything today, powerbehindthesales.com/senior sales. Put the code in there, 50 off. You're going to get all this. And you'll also get your free download. So what happens when you click the link? It looks just like this. You click the link, and you're going to land on this web page. Right there. You click Join Today. You're going to get your free download. You're going to take advantage of this today. You get the 50% off. I already see people doing it. We've already got several people that take advantage of this. So don't lose your opportunity to get this today. Remember, you get 50% off if you jump on it today. If you come on a week from now, if you email me a week from now, email me a week from now, I can't, you're not going to get it for the same price. Jan, I'll answer your question in just a minute. So you get the 7-step sales presentation course, Scripts That Work, bonus fast track coaching, bonus quarterly live webinars, $247. So Jan asked a great question, so I'm going to hit her question. Let me just get through this slide, and Jan, I'm going to hit that question. So we know what's a myth, right? Prospects will buy when you tell them what Medicare is. Your manager told you that if you tell them how to enroll in Medicare, that they'll buy. You sat in on that sales training, right? That sales training that was just a carrier promoting their product. And they said you tell them they may have higher premiums and they'll buy. In fact, you went to the office and you met with your team, and they showed you a presentation that said you tell them how much you can save them, right? I can save you $20 a month. Oh my God, $240 a year, darn. And we know that that's a myth. They don't buy. I told you in the beginning, we don't need more training. We need better training. And that's exactly what I give you. Rachel said Lloyd is one of the most knowledgeable and effective sales training managers I've worked with. I always look forward to his training sessions because of his unique, no-nonsense teaching style and the vast amount of knowledge and sales skills he brought to the table. Lloyd's fresh ideas and perspective always made perfect sense, and his tips and techniques were easy to apply to my everyday conversations with prospects. I would highly recommend his training, The New or Veteran Agent. So if you're a new or veteran agent, you should take advantage of this. You're not immune to these problems. Listen, you'll nail this. You'll have consistent income that you deserve. Why do we go through all this rejection unless we're going to win? It doesn't make any sense. You've already tried the ways that don't work. You have nothing to lose by trying something that I've proven can work. You yourself in this webinar have said, yes, that works. So you deserve it. Your family deserves it, and your business has earned it. You will nail having a steady work stream without overworking. You will nail hitting goals every month. You'll have certainty of your workload. You'll have access to the coaching you need to get past the barriers, and that will happen. You're going to go through one of these lessons. You're going to go try it out 1 or 2 times, half-heartedly, not putting your full self into it, not really going through all the training. It's not going to work for you, and you're going to come back and say, oh, my God, it doesn't work. But you're going to have coaching right there when those barriers come up, and they will come up. We all know it. It's no surprise. And you're normal. It's normal to have those barriers, but it's not necessary. You get 30-day money-back guarantees. What do you have at risk? I don't understand. Listen, 50% off. Skipper Pond, I told you, said, working with Lloyd was extremely instrumental in the development of my health and insurance business. If you ever get a moment to share time with him, you'll come away with so many essential nuggets within the industry. And you get that with my course. You get coaching with me. 7-step sales presentations worth $1,089. Scripts at Work course worth $2,277. The bonus fast track coaching worth $500, and the webinars every quarter. And I answer every email that comes in here. Listen, make sure that you use the 50% off code today. Okay, Julia said, send me a message and said we've got some questions. She's going to type them in up here. I jump ahead of some of them. So look, don't put any more up there, Julia. So Jan asked, how can this approach work with a luxury type product, etc.? Travel versus a needs-based product like healthcare. Well, Jan, I wish we had more time to talk. But so don't take offense where offense isn't meant. I'm going to be kind of direct here because we don't have a lot of time. People buy on emotion, they're moved to action by logic. Nobody buys a luxury thing because it makes sense to them. They buy a luxury item, whether it's a cruise or it's a car. Let me give you an example, okay? My wife and I we raised our kids. Most of our kids were born and raised in Yorba Linda, California. In 1998, I bought a Lincoln Navigator for $50,000. Now, I know that's not a great deal of money today when you're out looking at the price of cars. Hell, I looked at a truck that was $60,000. Darn, Julie's going to send me a text and tell me not to say the word hell. Sorry about that. But we bought the first Navigator that came out. The first year the Navigator came out, and it had everything, leather, everything. It had every accessory you could get on it. We paid $48,000 and change on it. And about 3 months later, at the LA Coliseum, they had an auto show. And we went to the auto show, and way back past the cars, where all the vendors were, there was this aftermarket place that had this whole display set up. And they had the interior of a Navigator there. And I sat down in the driver's seat of that Navigator interior. And in the armrest on the right-hand side by the driver, it flipped open. And you lifted up a laptop. This is 1998. Can you believe this? 1998. And the laptop laid down, and you could actually use that as an office. And I was like, oh, my gosh. I get out of the car. I go over to the vendor, and I say, you know what? If I wanted to have you do that, you know, the laptop and the phone and stuff in my car, about what would that cost? He said, well, what do you have? I said, I have that car. That's the exact Navigator that I've got. He said, oh, we can do that for you, but we'll get rid of the cheap leather. We put good leather in there. I remember looking at him and thinking, so your business model is to tell me that I am a lousy purchaser, a lousy consumer. I make bad decisions, and I spend good money on crappy products. And somehow you think that's going to convert me to have confidence in you so you can put good leather in my car because I was too stupid to buy it to begin with. You see, I bought that luxury car because of the value I got from it. Does that make sense, Shan? People buy on emotion and move to action by logic. The psychology of what I'm showing you doesn't change with the product. It only has more emphasis with the benefits. So what's the benefit? My wife and I were in Switzerland a few months ago. When my kids heard we were over in Switzerland, my daughter in New York said, I'll fly over and spend a couple of days with you. When my son found out that she was coming, he said, I'll fly over and spend a couple of days with you. We had a great week with my kids over in Switzerland. There's a lot of benefits I could tell you about being in Switzerland, in addition to having my kids there. If you're trying to sell me a trip to Switzerland and you don't talk about the benefits I get from it and you just talk about the price of it, you're going to sound like every other salesperson trying to sell me a trip to Switzerland, aren't you? So how does this work? The psychology is what matters. The product doesn't matter. The examples I give you in here aren't relevant to the psychology of what I'm presenting to you. Will this presentation be in the course? Absolutely, Jill. Great question. It is in the course. It's called The 4 Things. You can't miss it. What kind of scripts are... I don't get this. Let me read it. What kind of scripts are in the scripts that work? Oh, all kind of scripts. Final expense, a whole bunch of scripts. And if you need a script that's not in there, you email me and I'll help you come up with this. If you've got a script that you want me to critique for you, email me the script and I'll do that. Is that it, Julie, anymore? I hate feeling like an unpaid consultant. How can I avoid that? Wow. Again, don't take offense where offense isn't meant, but quit giving presentations to people that are not qualified prospects. Listen, you bought car insurance before, right? When you're on the phone making an appointment with your car insurance agent, do you go to his office or he comes to your house? You go to his office, right? I mean, if you don't buy it online, you go to his office, right? How come he doesn't come to your house? Because that's the way he does business. If you're having your taxes done by H&R Block, why don't they come to your house? Because that's not how they do business. Kathy, you need to know who your client is. You need to learn to ask questions to your client. The 7-step sales presentation, that information's in there, so that you're making presentations to qualified clients. And when you make questions to qualified clients, so they have to understand they have a problem, they have to be willing to solve the problem. I don't have time to go through all of it, but all that's in the course. But you can avoid being an unpaid consultant. The reason we're an unpaid consultant is because we don't have enough appointments. So we run any appointment because we have no appointments. Agents say to me all the time, I need more qualified leads. Maybe. But my guess is what you need are more leads to qualify. So this course will help you get rid of feeling like an unpaid consultant. Any more, David? How do I compete on price? Wow, you guys are really putting me on the spot today. Well, the way you compete on price, David, is quit competing on price. When value exceeds the cost, what do people remember? What do? They buy. You notice, let me ask you this. Did you like my sales presentation, Dave? Did you think the presentation I showed you today was good? Anybody on the call, did you think that was a good presentation today? Tell me anywhere in that presentation did I mention price. In fact, I'll challenge you more. Tell me anywhere in that presentation did I mention a product, a carrier, or a price. I got the prospect to tell me what their concerns were, what their thoughts were about aging, how they access healthcare, what problems they want to solve, and when they want to solve those problems without ever mentioning a product, a price, or a carrier. Do I compete on price? No. And another reason you don't compete on price is if they only buy because you're the lowest person, my promise to you is when the next salesperson comes to the house, you're going to lose that business. The same reason you don't go to the doctor because of price. Think of which doctor are you? Dave, here's my last question to you, and then I've got to move on. Which doctor are you? Are you Dr. A or Dr. B? If you're Dr. B, you're selling on price. If you're Dr. A, you're selling on price. If you're Dr. B, you would never sell on price. All right, don't rush me, Julia. What kind of content do you get over the quarterly webinars? You name it. It's about you, not about me. So I take questions all quarter, and then I answer the questions. I do have a theme for every quarterly webinar, and I'll go through that theme. The theme really depends on the kind of stuff that people are experiencing, but you guys drive that. You send me questions, and I'll answer your questions just like I'm doing on the webinar right now. Jenny said, I keep getting, I want to think about it, or something similar. Yeah, well, you're normal, and your prospect's normal. I don't have time to get into all that. You should sit in on my webinar on how to handle objections. I cover all of that, but let me just tell you this. The reason prospects say I want to think about it, Jenny, is because we gave them something to think about. So if you want them to quit telling you, I want to think about it, quit giving them so much to think about it. You'll notice in everything I did today, I asked questions that tied down what they want to do. Lamar, is there a MedSup script in the course? Yeah, there's 2 or 3 of them in there, Lamar. Alfred, can I get overall help with my phone pitch in this course? Absolutely. In fact, I've got a number of phone scripts in there. In fact, not only are there phone scripts for appointments, they're phone scripts for actually doing the sales presentation. And I've got stuff in there about your voice modulation, all that kind of stuff. What else? Which MedSup plans are the best? I'm going to smack you here, Will. I don't know which MedSup plan is the best. I'll tell you which MedSup plan I think is the best. It's the one your prospect buys. If you're only selling what you think is the best, you're limiting your pool of prospects to the ones who agree with you. So, learn to ask really good questions. Buy the course, get really good questions. The prospect will tell you which MedSup plan is best for them. Dennis says, what do I do when people say they already know about Medicare? Praise the Lord. You mean I don't have to educate you? How great is that? In fact, remember, a lot of what we talked about earlier was knowing how to ask the right questions. Somebody says, I already know about Medicare. That's great. It's important that you know about Medicare. Do you mind if I ask you a couple of questions? See how that rebuttal works really good? That's great. It's important you know about Medicare. You mind if I ask you a couple of questions? How do you prefer to access healthcare? See how that goes? Just takes me right into my script. I don't even have to push to get into my script. Anyway, I hope that helped you. I didn't mean to jump ahead. Kevin says, I have problems getting started in the first 30 seconds. Well, you are probably the most normal salesperson I've run into in a long time. We do. And here's why. It's a habit. Here's what happens. Habits are like this. A habit has a trigger. A trigger starts a routine. And a routine cues a reward. And the reward causes us to go for that trigger again. So you've seen that Jerry Seinfeld show, right, from years ago, where it's apparently a telemarketer called Jerry. And Jerry said, oh, hey, listen, I can't talk right now. Let me have your home phone number and I'll call you back. And apparently the telemarketer says to him, we're not allowed to give our personal number out. And apparently the telemarketer says to him, we're not allowed to give our personal number. And Jerry says, oh, you don't like to get calls at home either? Neither do I. And he hung up. So the reason we have trouble starting it off is because we're trying to either sell the appointment or sell the product. We're not asking questions about the things that matter most to them. I've got scripts in here that do this. Got another question from Sandy. Don't throw anything up, Julia. There's another one from Sandy. Irritating thing to me is those people who say they took care of all their Medicare issues years ago and they think they're all okay now. No more worries or questions. Sandy, I would tell you, embrace those people. You've got the greatest tool you could ever possibly have to have conversations with those exact people, and that is the federal government. The Congress, House, Senate, and the President, whatever your politics are, keeps enough dissonance in the marketplace that these people are on pins and needles about what's going to happen from year to year. Maybe the question for these people is, they've got all that taken care of. And let me ask you a question. Are you concerned that you're paying more than you expect or more than you want to when Medicare changes this year? Notice the word when Medicare changes this year, because what happens in 2020? Tell me what happens in 2020, Sandy. Type in the box and tell me what happens in 2020 to Medicare supplements. Name the one thing that's going to happen. Type in the box and let me know. I'm not trying to put you on the spot. It's just between you and me. What's the one thing that's going to happen next year? F goes away. So when I say, are you paying more than you wanted or more you expected, they're going to give me an answer of either one. And either one opens the door. Because I can say, is that what you're expecting to have do? Same thing with Social Security. The great thing about the Congress, the House, the Senate, and the President, they keep enough dissonance going in there that I can easily say, do you think you'll get most of your Social Security throughout your retirement or all of your Social Security? How do you think the changes proposed in Social Security will impact you? What a great question. I love it when people say, oh, I got that all taken care of. Well, you're smart. That's great. I'm glad you did. You might have asked you a question. Anyway, all that's in the course. So, Kevin, I have a problem. Okay. Julie, go ahead and show. Is there another one? Brian. I struggle with what to say. What can I do better? Well, here's the reason why we struggle with what to say, Brian. Because we don't have our mantra down. See, the reason this stuff comes out of me just so instantaneously, it's just a habit. It's just an integrated part of my sales personality, and that's what you learn in the course. How to build your integrated part of your sales personality. You struggle with what to say because you don't have anything to say about anything other than the product, the price, or the carrier. Nothing you heard me say in the presentation I gave you today was about a product, a price, or the carrier. In fact, I didn't even know if it'd be a MedSup or MedAdvantage. Had no clue. So the way you get over that struggle is you have to do something different. If you give the same presentations in the next 12 months you gave in the last 12 months, you will make exactly what you made last year. My question to you is that the income you're expecting to have at the end of this year? If it's not, you can do something about it. You can get 50% off. You can go to powerbehindthesales.com/senior sales. You can do something about it today. Julie told me that's all. We're running out of time. If you got any questions, email me at lloyd@lloydlofton.com. Go to powerbehindthesales.com/senior sales. Do your family a favor. Show some respect to your business. Reward all the efforts you put into your career so far. Jump on board. I will take one last question. If you have one last question, drop it in the chat box, and then I'm going to let everybody go. Drop it in the chat box. If a prospect, this is Robin. Robin says, if a prospect tells you they essentially want a Plan F, what happens if they can't afford it after you sold them on it? Don't, Robin, are you still there? Don't sell them on a Plan F. I didn't sell a Plan F today. Nowhere in my presentation did you see me use the term Plan F until they designed the plan that they wanted. That's critical for you to understand. You'll get that understanding in this course, Robin. Remember, what I said is as you age, you get more healthy or less healthy. Your medical expenses become more expensive or less expensive. How do you like to access health care? That's going to tell me in the ballpark of where they're at. If in that question, how do you prefer to access health care, you need to manage your monthly disposable income, you don't mind paying a little bit out of your pocket to go to the doctor, I'm going to weed them down. That's the funnel I've already put them in. I'm going to kind of have an idea about that. And if I get down to the nut log and they tell me I can't afford the Plan F, that's going to give me the opportunity to do a trial close on a plan they can afford. So let's do the math. That's the way that I've always helped my customers determine what fits their budget. And really, we're not talking about what you can afford. We're talking about what fits your budget, right? So here's the question. Take a MedAdvantage plan. On a MedAdvantage, in your worst health year, no, I didn't ask the question correctly. I won't do that. Okay. Robin, do that. In your worst health year, on the MedAdvantage plan you're getting the price for, what's the maximum you have to pay out of your pocket? Well, what is it? Well, it's about $5,600, right? And then I say to them, so in your worst health year, you're going to have to pay up to $5,600 out of your pocket. Is that what you're expecting to have to pay? Is that what you want to pay? And they're going to go, well, no. So if you had a plan that you knew and you could manage the budget each year, and you knew it was only going to cost you $2,000 a year, which would you manage best in your worst health year? That's the way we do that. So, Rob, I hope you don't feel like I was yelling at you. I just get excited about this kind of stuff. Listen, I really enjoyed being on the call with you today. I hope that you take advantage of this opportunity to have impact on your business. I'll throw it out there one more time. Any last questions? Julia's got the link right there in the chat box. You can click on it. I'm going to just scroll back here for a minute and see if I missed any question. Interesting to me. Okay, I've got a new message coming in. Sorry, I just don't want to leave anybody out. Oh, you didn't ask properly. Okay, Robin, I look forward to your email. I would definitely take it. You guys can, all right, there you go. I think I got her. Finally does agent SOA prior to probing and tie-down question. You know, I don't know if Jan's still on the call. Jan says, finally, does an agent SOA prior to probing and tie-down question? So I'm guessing you're asking that as a question. I don't know if you're doing that as a question or a statement. I see a question mark. So here's what I would do. I would ask them about the things they use the most in the order they use those things. I would find out if that's the behavior they want to have to engage in. And then I would find them what plans they have to address that problem that they say they have. And is that the way they want to address that problem? When I find out that information, I take them down the funnel. Everything we're doing is dropping them down that funnel. They start off real wide. Get this. They start off real wide here. We get smaller and smaller and smaller until I have a pretty good idea. So I think I got all the questions. Anyway, I'm getting a message here. I've gone over. I've gone way over. Okay, anyway, that's it, guys. I'm going to jump off. Thanks for being on the call. Really appreciate it. You're a great team. And you'll get an email right after this. Give you a link to the recording later on. And a link to get your free download. Don't forget your free download. And a link to actually jump on board and join me and become part of the team. PowerBehindTheSales.com/senior sales. You did good. And we'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.